We've titled this message, The Body Speaks. The delivery of your speech is just as important as the speech itself. Your body conveys messages in your movements. We're going to talk about some of those and ways that you can use your body to support what you have to say rather than detract. Your posture, gestures, eye movements, facial expressions, they all convey messages when you speak. So let's learn how to use them to our advantage. Let's talk a little bit about confidence. Have you noticed that when a speaker approaches the podium, feet shuffled, posture slumped, head down, how excited you are to hear them speak? Or when they approach in a confident manner, posture erect, head up, full of excitement, are you more apt to want to listen to that person? So, when a person approaches the podium, you want to make sure you approach with confidence, that your head is erect, and that you're excited to be there to speak to your audience. They won't know you're nervous. They're there to hear what you have to say. For some of them, they want to hear what you say. For others, they may need to hear what you have to say. So keep your focus on your audience and not on yourself. Above all, breathe. Now, if you feel your chest tightening or your hands or legs shaking or even your heart pounding, stop, take a half a step back, breathe. When you're ready to continue, take your half step forward and continue your speech. Remember, your focus should be on your audience and not on yourself. Let's talk a little bit about gestures. Gestures are used to add to your message, to convey a little more meaning to what it is we have to say. Now, do you notice if the speaker grips the podium in fear of their life? Or are they leaning forward, appearing as though they're about to leave open and run out of the room? Or are they doing a continuous tapping motion on the podium? All of these things detract from the message. So you want to appear comfortable, confident, and you want your gestures to be appropriate to what it is you have to say. Now, there are other mannerisms that we have that we may unconsciously do. One of those things could be the fixing of the hair. Another could be the adjusting the clothes. Another could be the licking of the lips or jangling change in the pockets. Again, all of these things detract from what it is you want to say. Now, when a speaker puts their hands in their pockets, it's not a bad thing generally. It makes them comfortable. It makes you a little bit more comfortable. But if your speaker keeps their hands in their pockets, well, what are they going to use? They're going to use their shoulders and their elbows. And trust me, people after a while get tired of this. So, that again is something you don't want to do. You want to make sure that your gestures are natural and that they emphasize the message that you're trying to convey. Let's talk a little bit about the talking hands. Many times when a speaker wants you to visualize something big, huge, gigantic, they will use these big, huge, gigantic arm movements so that you can visualize what it is they're saying. But if you have a speaker who is continuously using their hands, it could be for nervousness or it could be because they just don't know what to do with their hands. Well, when the speaker is speaking, what it is you're focused on is their hands and not what they have to say. You're sitting there mesmerized by the kaleidoscopic movement of the hands. Don't do it. You want to appear natural. You want your hand gestures to appear natural. You want your hands to emphasize what it is you have to say, not detract what you have to say. So remember, if you're going to be using hand movements, make sure that they're appropriate to what you have to say. For instance, an open hand conveys, of course, openness. It can also convey empathy or even sympathy. Another effect that people use with their hands is to pound, to make a point, to express anger or determination. But if the person keeps pounding their hand as they're talking, this too will, after time, lose your audience. It loses its effect. I remember Nikita Khrushchev pounding the table with his shoe. Now, I can't tell you what it is he said, because that I don't remember. But I do remember the pounding of the shoe. So remember, you don't want people to remember this. You want them to remember what it is you have to say. Again, use your gestures appropriately so that they convey the message you want. You want your gestures to emphasize what it is you're saying. Let's move now towards the face. Everyone knows that people's faces can be hugely expressive, particularly the eyes. People know the rolling of the eyes. People also know lifting of the eyebrows. People know the smile or a frown. These are all things that convey a message when you speak. So make sure that when you use these facial expressions, you do so consciously, again, to add to your message and not to detract from it. Sometimes when people speak, they have tendency to move their focus. Particularly when you're speaking to a large audience, you have tendency to want to focus a little bit on everyone as you talk. But remember, when you're speaking to an audience, it's the same thing as speaking to one person. You don't want to have the oscillating head effect. When you're speaking to someone, you're naturally focused on them. The same is true for an audience. When you want to make a point, when you want to complete a sentence, you focus on that person or that area of the audience, and then move your focus to another person or another area of the audience. Complete your sentence, make your point, and then move on. This gives your audience the feeling as though you're speaking directly to them, that they're important to you. So remember, focus on your audience and not on you. Use appropriate hand gestures and facial expressions. One of the points people want to make when they talk is the single finger mannerism. When they're designating someone in the audience to speak, they point. Now, you don't want to get into this repetitive finger pointing motion. What do? Well, you can break that up too. Instead of one finger, use two fingers, or use your hand. Now, people will know when you do this, you're pointing towards someone. Some people feel this is a hostile gesture, and unless that's the response you want from your audience, don't do it. So, another thing we want to remember is that all of our mannerisms, all of our gestures, all of our expressions are meant to emphasize what we have to say, to clarify what we have to say. Make sure when your body speaks, your movements appear natural, that they're genuine, and they will then be convincing. You want your body movements to add to what you have to say, not detract or distract from the message you're wanting to convey. Practice is the key to ensuring that when your body speaks, it conveys the message that you intend. Thank you.